أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء المرسلين خاتم النبيين أبو القاسم محمد صلوات محمد وآل محمد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We all have assembled here for a very happy occasion, birthdays of three of the most important, prominent personalities of Islam. Imam Hussain was born on the 3rd of Shaban, the 4th year of the Hijrah calendar. His brother, Hazrat Abbas, was born on the 4th of Shaban of the 26th year of the Hijrah calendar. And his son, Imam ZainulAbdeen, was born on the 5th of Shaban, 38th year of the Hijrah calendar. But there's something common between all these three great personalities. One is, of course, their lineage is noble, but the most important thing were all the three were present in Karbala. Imam Hussain, son of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Mawla Mushkil Kusha, and the lady of the Jannah, Fatimatul Zahra, Sayyidatul Nisa al-Alameen. Hazrat Abbas, son of Imam Ali, and al-Baneen, whose name was Fatima, and she was from the Quraysh tribe of Banu Kilab, which was a very noble tribe and which was a very brave tribe. And the marriage was suggested by Imam Ali's brother. The marriage with Imam Ali's marriage with the lady al-Baneen was suggested by Imam Ali's brother, Aqil ibn Abi Talib, after the death of Lady Fatima. When Lady al-Baneen entered the household of Imam Ali, there was an instantaneous bond between her and the two sons of Imam Ali, Imam Hussain and Imam Hussain. It is recorded that she loved them more than she loved her own sons. And all her four sons, Hazrat Abbas and Hazrat Usman, Hazrat Jafar and Hazrat Ahmad, were all there present in Karbala. And when Hazrat Abbas had made his debut in a war, that was the Battle of Siffin, the people of Muawiyah thought that Ali was fighting. His posture, his demeanor, his looks, and his bravery was exactly like his father. The third personality we are discussing today is our fourth Imam, Imam ZainulAbdeen alayhi salam, the son of Imam Hussain and the son of Princess Shahrbano. Princess Shahrbano was the daughter of the last Sassanid emperor, Yazdegerd III. And when the Muslims conquered Persia, she came as a captive to Medina, and when she came to the court of the second Khalifa, Umar ibn Khattab, the ladies were waiting to see her because she was so beautiful and so her face was so enlightened. She was very upset because she was a princess and the Muslims had conquered Persia and they had made her a captive. So she made a statement, Aperos, Bada, Hormuz. That means she was praising Hormuz, and Umar ibn Khattab was very angry. And Imam Ali pacified him and he said that she is from a royal lineage and let her get married to someone in Medina of her choice. So she had selected Imam Hussain, and Imam Ali got Imam Hussain and the Princess Shahrbano married. A modern Islamic scholar, Allama Bakhir Sharif Kharashi, who passed away in 2012 in Najaf, who was a student of Allama Ayatollah Khoui, he has collected the biographies of the 14 Masumeens, and in the volume which has the biography of Imam Hussain, he writes that when Imam Hussain was born, the Prophet obviously was very happy, and the ritual which we practice now of reciting the azan in the right ear and the iqama in the left ear of the baby had started with the birth of Imam Hassan. And the Prophet recited the azan and iqama in Imam Hussein's ears and gave the baby to his father and asked him to recite Surah Fatiha and the last 3 verses of Surah Hashr and Ayatul Kursi and the 4 khuls. The Prophet performed his haqiqah and named him Hussain. The Prophet used to play with Imam Hussain when he was a baby. He used to put his finger in his mouth and made him suck his finger. We all know that once when the Prophet was offering the prayers in the Jamaat in Masjid al-Nabawi, the 2 Imams who were toddlers, they started, when the Prophet went in the sajda, and Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain, they mounted the Prophet's shoulders and started playing there. The Prophet did not get up until they dismounted the shoulders of the Prophet. So that means the namaz of the Muslim Ummah had been stalled when the 2 Imams were playing on the shoulders of the Prophet. The Prophet always used to pray for them. He called Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain his sons, and he used to pray for them. He used to pray for their protection from Satan. He used to pray for their protection from evil eyes. He used to pray for their protection from poisonous animals, as Prophet Abraham used to pray for his son, the Prophet Ishmael and Prophet Isaac. The Ayatul Tathir, the 33rd verse of Surah Azab, the ayat of the purification, when it was revealed, along with the Prophet, his daughter, his son-in-law, and these 2 Imams were present in the blanket, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had purified them completely, made them the most righteous people. I read Dr. Sayyid Nasr a lot, his study Quran, and I have read, and he has quoted other Islamic scholars like Qurtubi and Tabari and other scholars of the past in his study Quran, his tafsir. He said that the 2 Imams had fallen sick, and the Prophet had asked Imam Ali and Lady Fatima to pray for them and to make a niyyah to perform 3 fasts. And the 2 Imams, they got well. So the house fasted, Imam Ali, Lady Fatima, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain, and their servant, Bibi Fizza, they fasted. And Imam Ali got some barley, Fizza made some bread. And when it was time for the breaking the fast, a beggar came and asked for help from the house of Fatima. All of them, they gave their bread to the beggar. Then they fasted the next day. Again the beggar came. Again they gave the bread to the beggar. They fasted the third day. Again the beggar came. Again they gave the bread to the beggar. And in these 3 days, they had become so weak because of hunger. And at that time the Prophet had come and he saw everyone, and especially the Lady Fatima, who was a very thin lady. And the Prophet prayed for them, and his prayers were responded. And the Archangel Gabriel had come, and the Surah Insan, praising the Ahlul Bayt, had been revealed. The Prophet had a debate with the Christians of Najran, and he gave them a dawah. The Christians of Najran left. So the 61st verse of Surah Imran was revealed, in which Allah had announced that after the truth was revealed, the Christians were belying it. And he told the Prophet to invite them. The ayat said, we bring our children and you bring your children. We bring our women and you bring your woman. We bring ourselves and you bring yourselves. And then let's pray to God and have the curse on the liar. And when the Prophet went for the Mubahala, again with those sewing people who were purified in the blanket with the Ayat al-Tathir, all those 5 people had gone, and Imam Hussain was in the Prophet's lap. The Prophet was carrying Imam Hussain. And when the Christians of Najran saw the enlightenment on the faces of the Panjatan, they fled. And there was no Mubahala after that. When Imam was born, Jibreel had come to congratulate the Prophet, and he had a message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he told the Prophet that the Imam will be killed in Karbala, and the Prophet had cried. And the Prophet used to say, Hussain minni wa ana min al-Hussain. Hussain is from me and I'm from Hussain. Hussain is from me. We can easily understand. Hussain was the son of the daughter of the Prophet. So you can understand Hussain is from me. But the Prophet never said this, that I am from Hussain to Imam Ali, that I'm from Ali. The Prophet never said it to his daughter, that I'm from Fatima. The Prophet never said that. Yes, the Prophet had said that whoever hurts Fatima hurts me, and whoever hurts me hurts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are a lot of sayings of the Prophet regarding Lady Fatima. There are a lot of sayings of the Prophet regarding Imam Ali. The Prophet had said that I am the castle of knowledge and Ali is its gate. The Prophet had said that, O Ali, you are to me like Aaron was to Moses. Only difference is there wouldn't be any prophet after me. Before the Battle of Khaybar, the Prophet had announced, tomorrow I'm going to give the banner of Islam to the one who loves me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whom Allah and I love. And next day, Imam Ali had come and he had given the banner of Islam to Imam Ali. So a lot of things the Prophet had said, and the Prophet loved Imam Hassan, but Prophet never said to them that you are from me. The Prophet just said that I am from Hussain. So let us examine, why did the Prophet say I am from Hussain? You all know what had happened when, before his death, the Prophet had asked for the paper and the pen. You all know what had happened in Saqifa when the rights of Imam Ali had been usurped. You all know what the second Khalifa did. He had installed Muawiyah as the governor of Syria. You all know when the third Khalifa, Uthman ibn Affan, he gave a lot of big positions to Banu Umayyah. And he was called Usman al-Ghani because he had given a lot of wealth to Banu Umayyah out of the public treasury. So they named him Usman al-Ghani. And then when Imam Hussain had abdicated the Khilafat, there was an agreement between Imam Hussain and Muawiyah that he is not going to install his son as his successor. And Muawiyah never cared for that, and he installed his son Yazid as his successor. And the dynastic rule, contrary to the Islamic belief, had started with Banu Umayyah. And the character of Banu Umayyah was till the Muslims conquered Makkah. Abu Sufyan was an arch enemy of the Prophet. And then when Makkah was conquered, Abu Sufyan told Abbas ibn Muttalib, look at my cousin Muhammad. He's a big emperor. He's got a big kingdom. And look at his big army. So he was corrected by the Prophet's uncle Abbas ibn Abu Muttalib that no, he's not an emperor, he's a prophet. So that was the mentality they had. And Yazid had said that Banu Hashim's act was a drama. There was no revelation, no Jibreel had come. This was Yazid's belief. And having the power, you know what happened in Karbala. We are not going to mourn the Imam because it's a happy occasion of the birthdays. The 59th verse of Surah An-Nisa states that, "O you who believe, obey God, obey His messenger, and those in authority among you." That is the first part of the verse. Obey God, obey the messenger, and those in authority among you. And there is a second part of the verse. And if you differ among yourself in certain matters, refer back to God and His messenger. So there are two parts in the 59th verse of Surah Nisa. And this verse, the first half of the verse, was used very conveniently to legitimize the corrupt rule of Yazid. And whoever protested were called heretics or kafir. Unity under oppression for them was better than disunity and strife for justice. They preferred unity under oppression rather than disunity and strife for justice. They did not realize the first principle of Islam and human existence, which calls for love, which calls for brotherhood, which calls for social justice. All this, the basic principles of Islam, they were all absent when these Khilafat had begun, or rather Khilafat, the dynastic rule had begun. Let me discuss something how this ayat was totally misinterpreted. Ibn Taymiyyah, who was a scholar of the 12th century and who formulated the Salafi movement, and in Medina he had made a statement that he had asked to demolish the Prophet's tomb, and he was ostracized from Medina in the 12th century. He has written a book, Minhajul Sunnah, And it's very interesting. The way they do it, it's so interesting. Oh, Imam Ali was great. But, he was not up to the mark of the two Khalifas. Oh, Ahl Bayt were great. But they were not up to trying to subside them, trying to lower them. Ibn Arabi, he is a great philosopher and Islamic scholar of the Andalusian period, because he was born in Spain, where after the Umayyads were defeated by Banu Abbas, they fled to Spain and they started their own kingdom over there. And Ibn Arabi is a great philosopher. And even Dr. Nasser has written a very good book about Ibn Arabi. And he has authored a book which has recently been translated. It's called Al-Awasim wa Al-Khawasim. Al-Awasim wa Al-Khawasim. Now, in order to understand that concept coming from such a big philosopher and a scholar, you know what Muawiyah did? Muawiyah never had any credentials. So when he did not have any credentials, he had no fazilats. So what he tried to do was lower the fazilats of the Prophet, lower the fazilats of Ahl Bayt. If you open Sahih Bukhari, Abu Huraira, there are about 6,500 hadiths quoted by Abu Huraira. And in the same Sahih Bukhari, it is mentioned that the second Khalifa, Umar ibn Khattab, called Abu Huraira to the mosque and beat him, caned him in the mosque because he was a liar. And now, same Sahih Bukhari is quoting 6,500 hadiths from Abu Huraira. So, Ibn Arabi uses this hadith that whoever revolts against the ruler deserves to be killed. And he writes in Al-Awasim wa Al-Khawasim that Hussain rose against Yazid, so Hussain deserved to be killed. It is there, and it has been recently translated by Brill. Now, there were some moderate scholars like Ibn Khaldun who lived in the 14th, 15th century. He was a Moroccan born in Tunis, and he died in Egypt. And he said that he praised Imam Hussain, and he said that he praised the credentials of Imam Hussain, and he called Yazid a Fasiq, a debauchee. He's calling Yazid Fasiq, a debauchee. And then he makes a statement that Imam Hussain was wrong, that he revolted against Yazid, quoting that hadith, which probably someone like Abu Huraira had fabricated. Then coming to the modern times, in the 18th century, in a place called Najd, a very big scholar named Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab was born. And he started giving his theories. His own father and his own brother ostracized him from Najd. So he went to Medina. And in Medina, he studied Ibn Taymiyyah and his Salafi school of thought. And then he collaborated with Muhammad ibn Saud, who was a ruler of a small place called Diriyah, which is right now Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. So now they formed an alliance, a political and a religious alliance. The first thing they did was they went and demolished all the tombs in Jannatul Baqi. And in 1801, they went to Karbala. They demolished the tomb of Imam Hussain, and a lot of Persian kings had put gold coating on the dome of. They plundered that and they killed 5,000 people in 1801. Finally, they were decimated by the Ottoman Empire. But then, after the First World War, when the Ottoman Empire was totally taken over and it was demolished, and the Britishers installed the Saud family as the kings of Saudi Arabia. And Makkah was ruled at that time by the family of the king of Jordan, King Hussein's family. So they removed him from Makkah and gave entire Saudi Arabia to, and that's where, and then the petrodollars came, and that's when the Wahhabiyat, the religion of bid'ah, everything is bid'ah, that started. I have read his book, which is the most authentic book. It's called Kitab al-Tawheed, which has been authored by Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. And I can assure you, all of you sitting over here, you will not take 1 month to author something like that. He has taken some verses of the Quran, he's put them over there, then he has taken some hadiths, he's put them over there, and at the end of every page, there are 1 or 2 lines, his notes, that's it. And that has become like their most authentic book, Kitab al-Tawheed. Now what happened because of that? In the modern times, I'm from India, and the propaganda, like there was a scholar named Dr. Zakir Naik, and he is now absconding from India. If he comes to India, he will be in jail. And I have heard his video, Hazrat Yazid Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. There is a scholar here, Dr. Yasir Khazi. He's an engineer, and then he went to Medina, and he's a Yale graduate also. And very recently I was hearing a video, and he said Imam Hussain was power greedy, and he was killed just because he was power greedy. And he tried to save Yazid from every angle. He said, Imam Hussain was killed by Ibn Ziyad. Imam Hussain was killed by Umar ibn Saad. And Yazid had nothing to do with that. I will let Charles Dickens respond to these people. Charles Dickens was a famous classical author of the 19th century, and growing up in my high school, he's very famous. His classical books like Great Expectations, Oliver Twist, Tale of Two Cities. And the British author had said, if Hussain fought to quench his worldly desires, then I do not understand why did his sisters, why did his wives, and why did his children accompany him. It stands to reason that he sacrificed only purely for Islam. I'm an Indian, like I told you, and our father of the nation is Mahatma Gandhi. And Gandhi was fascinated by Imam Hussain. And he had said, I learned from Imam Hussain how an oppressed can be victorious. And in fact, in one of his movements, he had started where millions of people had joined. He started symbolically with 72 people. It was called Dandi March. When he started the Dandi March, symbolically he had only 72 people, and after some time millions of Indians had joined him in that march. Now, coming back, having given that background, coming back to our question, wa ana min al-Hussain, what did the Prophet say? I am from Hussain. Now for that we have to understand Hussainiyat, what Hussainiyat is. And in order to understand Hussainiyat, we have to understand what martyrdom is. And if you're taking an English dictionary, any Webster or Oxford or Cambridge, everywhere, I've checked it out. Martyrdom is a person giving his life for the sake of his belief or for the sake of his religion. And the root of the word martyrdom is mortal. We are not mortal. We are not immortal. We are all mortal. So martyrdom is coming from that, because we are not immortal. Martyrdom is coming from that. But what the Imam did, the Imam is living here today. Even today, if this Hussainiyat goes into the heart, then lot of heads will be toppled, lot of kings will be toppled. Hussain is remembered by millions and millions every day. That, like Dr. Shariati had said, that every place is Karbala and every day is Ashura. We remember Hussain sitting, standing, eating, drinking water. We remember Hussain. Hussain is living. Hussain is not dead. Hussain is living. And the ayat of the Quran says that those who are shaheed, who are living. But this is different kind of shahadat, that Hussain has been living for 1400 years. The Westerners are researching, hundreds and hundreds of them are researching about this unique personality. Then the second thing, the 172nd verse of Surah Arafah, it states that when we were in the primordial form, not in this physical form, in the primordial form, before we came to the earthly form, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had asked a question. He had asked this question to everyone. Am I not your Lord? And we said, yes, you are our Lord. So that was a covenant. And then when we are born, we come pure with that covenant. The heart is very pure. And when we start interacting with this world, that's when impurities start coming. And Satan plays an influence, because he always whispers. In Karbala, what the Imam had done was, he had borne witness, yes, you are my Lord. So now what is martyrdom? Martyrdom in the form of Hussainiyat is living and bearing witness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was a brother, you must have heard, brother of IJ, about 5 years back. He was driving and his car plunged into water. He had his wife and his 2 children. And he tried to save them. He saved his children, he saved his wife. And meanwhile, he drowned. So what his goal was to save what was most precious to him, to save what was most loving from him. And this is what the Imam had done. He gave up his life. He gave us the life of his family to save what was most precious to the Imam. When the Prophet went to Makkah to take over, to conquer, he had a big army with him. He had a lot of support. When Imam Ali was the Khalifa, he had 3 major battles, Jamal, Siffin and Nahwan. But he had power, he had soldiers, he had equipment, he had weapons. Even when Imam Hussain was the Khalifa and we negotiated with Yazid, he was the Khalifa, he had men, even though they were men with masks of Islam on the face, but still he had. But when Hussain stood up, neither did he have an army, nor did he have weapons, nor did he have force, nor did he have any wealth, and nor did he have any organization. Here we are all sitting, we are in an organization. Hussain did not have any organization, and he had stood up all by himself. That was the greatness of that sacrifice. Even when he migrated, the Prophet had migrated. The Prophet had migrated, and when he migrated, he had put Imam Ali on his bed. And he migrated, he slipped out of Medina in the night. When Imam migrated, he did that from Medina to Makkah to Kufa, and all his geographical movements were known to his enemies. Now imagine, it was very easy for the Imam, to do bayat with Yazid, and Yazid wouldn't have bothered him. Imam would have been in Medina praying, or if Imam had left and came to India or some other place, Yazid would have been very happy. But the promise, the divine plan Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had, the Imam gave the human aspect to it. If he had wanted, he could have left. But there was a human aspect, the greatness of Hussainiyat, that he went there to face the army of Yazid. If the Imam had left, the Umayyads would have ruled, and then subsequently, as history has said, the Umayyads would have been finished, and there wouldn't have been any Islam. We wouldn't have been any Muslim if there was no Karbala. And that is the reason. And that is the reason. The Prophet had said, I am from Hussain. His religion was from Hussain. And the Prophet never says anything. As stated in the 3rd verse of Surah Najm, the Prophet never says anything unless he is directed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before I round it up, there are a lot of criticisms against the Shia faith that we try to put the Ahl Bayt on the same pedestal as the Prophet. No, we don't put it. The Quran puts it. The Prophet came as a messenger. The Prophet was asked to convey the glad tidings, and the Prophet was to warn the people. And when people in Makkah never used to listen to him, the Prophet used to get sad, and the Prophet was consoled in the Quran not to get sad, and he was told that you're just a messenger. The 21st verse of Surah Imran states that truly those who disbelieve in God's sign, truly those who disbelieve in God's sign and kill the prophets and kill those who enjoin justice, Prophet, and kill those who enjoin justice, Allah is getting them on the same platform. And that is the reason we are getting the Ahl Bayt on the same platform. I conclude here, and again I wish you all this happy occasion of the birthdays of the 3 great personalities of the Prophet. Let's pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this happy occasion with the intercession of our Prophet and the intercession of our Ahl Bayt. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep all of us in good health. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us all united. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to study our Quran deeply, to adopt our Quran in our day-to-day life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all go back and regain our golden age of Islam. Salawat Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.